Hi, welcome to Cubs and Culture for March 4th, 2018. I'm incredibly tired, so this is just going to be probably a couple of minutes of me talking about the absolutely wonderful Oscars tonight. Shape of Water pulled it out, and they won Best Picture, probably because of the consensus building mechanism, which is a far better voting system than straight plurality. Again, you have to get 51% of the votes, and films get eliminated, and those votes get moved down. Most of the awards, the ones I really cared about, went my way. It's somewhat annoying that Dunkirk got 3, but whatever. They were only editing in the sound categories. I ended up getting 15 out of 24 right, which is about my average. For predictions, I am absolutely gratified that Coco, Remember Me, won Best Original Song. That was the other category I was really interested in. My two biggest disappointments were Giles from Shape of Water, Richard Jenkins not getting the Oscar, and even though that was expected and I predicted Rockwell, blah, 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 it still was annoying because I really like Giles. He's just another version of me. He's like me in 20 years, if not 10 years. And then the other thing that really bothered me is they had this Hollywood elites and liberals talk down to people, and that's kind of been a problem, but they had this nice montage about why representation matters and why basically trying to tie Me Too and Time's Up together with sort of anti-Trump or anti-white nationalism that we've been going through, which is fine. I agree that representation matter, and I don't really have a problem with the montage per se. It's a little bit corny, and I feel like it's like kind of preaching to the choir and then also kind of talking down to people. My problem with it is then it immediately went to the screenplay categories, and I am flabbergasted and completely and utterly grateful that Get Out won. The problem is Call Me by Your Name won for Best Adapted Screenplay, and so the thing is about this movie, it's not only, I don't think it's a very good screenplay, it's really not a good representation of LGBT folks, and even though I know the director's gay, and I believe the screenwriter's gay, if not, whatever, the original novel author is straight, and this whole thing about, Elo being 17 and Armie Hammer being 24, which again in the movies it looks far more like a because Timothy, whatever how they say his name, he's 22, but he actually looks more like 15, 16, because he has such a slight frame and has such a boyish look to him, and then Armie Hammer. He's 31 years old, and he looks at least 30, even though the character's supposed to be 24, and then, he's a grad student, he's not an undergrad, and it's this whole thing, and it really, only a straight man would have written the age difference in that film as carelessly as he did. The single most, at least in my experience, the single most enduring negative stereotype of gay men is that we are pedophiles and or sexual predators and everything like that. And even though in Italy, age of consent's not 17, in any case, you can see how a 17-year-old having a romantic relationship with a 24-year-old is less problematic than an 18-year-old having a sexual relationship with a 48-year-old in terms of power differential and maturity level and everything like that. So the age difference in the novel is challenging, and I don't think it's handled very well. Because the father doesn't seem to object. Like, they just are cool with one of his grandchildren that's basically creeping on his son, which seems not only creepy, like that, but it really feels like a straight man would not think about sort of the implications here. And even though it's not pedophilia and everything like that, it's just sort of a problematic, if ultimately okay, relationship, at least as far as the novel is concerned. In the movie, it really doesn't work like that. It's deeply problematic, and I hate that this film is held up as queer representation because it has absolutely nothing to do with my own experience. It's a goddamn fantasy film in the worst sense of the word. Like, Giles is far more, even though he's an archetype, even though he is kind of the old queen, he's far more my experience than this sort of bullshit, romantic, fluffy relationship that's badly situated into a maturation. And so I'm really offended. Like, this